Okay, I just want to have a quick run through this test case setup. This is for a radial fan. So I got this geometry from GrabCAD, I think it was, and it's a really nice clean geometry. It's just two separate pieces of geometry. Got the centrifugal fan part itself, and then you've got the casing. So I've got this in step format, converted it to STL, and it works really nicely. So first thing you do is create a cylinder and put that around the fan casing, around the fan. So the cylinder needs to be containing the fan with a ample gap, and then you've got your casing outside of that. So the cylinder, all of these three files are going into SnappyHexMesh. Then the only other thing I created was an outlet plane so that I can monitor the flow on the outlet. So as normal, you do block mesh. So this created a block mesh like so, 1 meter in all directions. So it's quite a large domain, and I literally just put the fan in the middle of it. So for this case, I'm not having any other boundary conditions. It's literally just an outer surface, which is walls, and then you just got the casing, which is static, and then the fan blades, which are moving. And so you do the block mesh, and you do surface features. So you put all three geometries into surface features and run that. Then in SnappyHexMesh, I've got the fan, I've got the case, and then I've got the cylinder. And I've also specified a refinement box to refine the region of the outflow a bit better. So yeah, again, you've got the fan, the casing, the cylinder. I've specified level 6 refinement on all of them. So the interesting bit for setting up MRF zone is that you have to add this little bit here. So because I've specified the cylinder geometry and you've got level 6 on all of them, then you just need to say we want the mesh, we want to keep the mesh inside the cylinder and give a name to that cell zone. Impeller MRF, call it what you like. Well, that's it really. So when that meshes, you get this mesh, and you can, if you want, you can specify, read zones. Well, this is just to check, if you want to check that the MRF has been meshed correctly. So let's just switch off the case, the cylinder, the fan, switch off all of that. Now what we've got in the final mesh is the case, the fan, and the outer. So we don't see the cylinder. The reason is because that has been changed into internal surface. So you don't want to see anything to do with the cylinder in the boundary conditions. So if I just have a look through the mesh that we've ended up with, switch on that, switch off the triangulation. So yeah, because I've specified read zones, and now we can see in red we've got this nice MRF zone, and the rest of the mesh is the outer region. So you've got all this background mesh, which is effectively level 0. Then we've got level 1, level 2, level 3. So you can see here I've specified an outlet flow region, which is level 3. and then we've got 4, 5, level 6 everywhere else. And so we can see when we zoom in here, if we zoom in this region, we've got the MRF zone, and you've got the interface, then you've got the outside mesh region. And my only query or concern about this mesh is that I should have had more blanket layers, because I've only got 2 layers, and we could do with probably more than that, because my concern with this solution, in fact, is that where you've got the interface, then relatively close to the interface, you've got very large cells here. So it'd be better to have more blanket layers, just so that you don't have such a rapid change of cell size, because that might be affecting the convergence and the stability of the solution. So if we have a quick look at this flow solution, we just put on U velocity and switch off mesh. You can see this is run for 1,000 iterations, and then we've got a distinct rotation going on there, and it's rotating as we look at it. It's rotating in an anti-clockwise direction, so the fan blades are they are scooping the air, but it's flinging it outwards, and because the flow is coming out in this direction, then it has to be in anti-clockwise. So when I ran it first time, it was going in the wrong direction. And we can also have a look at the other slice, which is like so. Select velocity and switch off the first slice. I'll switch off the plane, and I think it's looking a bit odd because we've still got that mesh zones thing switched on. Where is it? These zones, that's better. So now you can see how it works in the other plane. So you've got the flow which is getting sucked in here, so it's being pulled in around this annulus and then being flung out in the other direction. So a bit of a strange one to visualize in planes because it's going on. It's very much a 3D test case. But yeah, so that's how that works. And if we have a quick look at some other things, I monitored the mass flow or the velocity. So this is just the x component of velocity. So you can see that it went down to -10 and then went up. It's a little bit oscillatory. I would have preferred this to be a bit flat. I mean, I think I'm going to rerun this with a better mesh. I mean, you could obviously average this to get a value, but it is wobbling around a little bit. And the first time I ran it with some different solver settings, it was much worse than this. And because I've kept the output file, output.txt, I can also have a look at the other residuals. pyFoamPlotWatcher. So that runs really quickly. And I can have a look at, this is the actual, I don't know why these lines are so thin. I can't seem to expand that. That's the actual convergence. So again, the convergence is not brilliant. I mean, it's come down and then it's stable, but it's not as good as I would have liked. I think it needs something changing in order to improve the convergence a bit. So I'm not sure if it's the mesh or the solver settings. But in terms of, what are we looking at here? SnappyHexMesh. In terms of the other settings, we've got let's have a look at. Oh, this is interesting. Kind of interesting anyway. This is the U velocity boundary condition. So I'm setting it to 0 on the fan, 0 on the casing, 0 on the outer. The important thing is in OpenFoam, well, this is OpenFoam 12, you have to have MRF no slip. I tried fixed value here and I tried something else and it doesn't work, it doesn't run properly. So you do have to have MRF no slip on the fan boundary condition because that's moving. And the other things are relatively boring really because pressure, I've just got fan case add or to 0 gradient. The K and epsilon, we'll just specify some wall functions. Oh, it's omega actually. K and omega wall function values, and the wall function values I did approximate them or calculate them using the turbulence calculator on Wolf Dynamics website. So just got some approximate values for that. Now what else do you need to know? In MRF properties is the file. So in MRF properties, I specified the impeller MRF. So that is the zone that was named in SnappyHexMesh. So this is really simple. You just specify the center of the fan, a direction, and then your rotation. I've just specified 1000 RPM here. So you could specify minus 1000 if you want it to be the other direction. So that's that. And the only other thing I had to specify was the outer boundary as a wall. So in polymesh boundary file, I had to, after I'd meshed it, I had to specify that, change that from a patch to a wall. Yeah, there's already walls, that's fine. So that's relatively simple. And what else is there? When I run it, I did MPI run for simple foam parallel and then T to the output file, so I can keep the output file and analyze that if I need to. So I'm looking at the convergence and the monitor and the yeah, I'll look at system control date. And the interesting thing here is all of this stuff here I added to the control file. So I specified the STL file outlet plane, and then it's just doing an area average of the U velocity on that STL file. So that's really useful. So that's how you can do your monitor glue pot. That's how you get that plot there, which is essential really to know what you're actually, what output you're getting for, what flow rate you're getting for a particular RPM. So because you're not fixing the flow rate, you're specifying an RPM and then it's giving you a flow rate. So that's why you do the MRF analysis. And just trying to think what else there is of interest here. In system FV models, that's something for porosity, but porosity is not being used. Oh yeah. In the solution file, I opted for some simpler settings in here, which seems to give better convergence. So here, because we're not specifying any inlet or outlet pressures, we have to specify a reference point somewhere in the domain and a reference value for the pressure. I've got no correction switched on. The convergence relaxation values are bog standard, so that's running with the box with the standard values there. And yeah, I think that's about it really. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else interesting about this case setup. I mean, whenever you do a case like this, you never get it right first time. You have to make some adjustments. But yeah, I'm going to try rerunning it with a better mesh and see if that improves things. But that is just my quick summary of how to set up an MRF case for a radial fan or a centrifugal fan system.